Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Bridal Business. Probably would help if I brought my microphone a little bit closer. Hey guys, welcome to today's training. Okay, so today I want to talk to you guys about your pricing and packaging, and we're going to have a good conversation about this because I think that there are so many of you out there that are still really struggling to get brides to accept your prices as they are. But maybe also you're worrying about the people that are in your area that are a heck of a lot cheaper than you, and you feel like these people are possibly undercutting you, and you're struggling to get brides through the door, and you kind of think to yourself, gosh, how do these people keep doing this? Because they're clearly charging a lot less than me, and then they're getting all these brides, and how do they survive? And let's talk all about that today. So welcome everyone. My name is Dawn Rose. I'm the owner and creator of Bridal Business School, and I help the community, the wedding community, grow their business in order to attract more brides. Now I have my I've got a new mic. I've got a new. You guys might have not seen this actually before because I have streamed with it a few times now. But my new microphone set up, and I also have a new camera, a new HD camera, because one of my laptop was really not serving me well. But just as I started talking, of course, because I'm clearly ignoring her. Hello, Miss Possum. She's decided to jump up and now she's tapping the thing, so I'm sorry about that, guys. I'm trying to keep an eye on her, and I've got my computer right here, so that we can go through. I'm going to go and share my screen because I want to go through a few things with you with regards to pricing and creating packages that actually sell, that your brides will actually spend money on. So let's just roll my pre-roll and get started on today. All right, guys. So let's talk about pricing because it's one of the things that really, I think in some ways we are confident of what we should be charging, but then I think in other ways, there are certain things that stop us from charging what we feel like we should. So I want to kind of break down the mindset of pricing, and then I want to show you on screen as well what it means when you allow others to dictate your price and when you allow yourself to worry about the pricing of other people. So for those of you who are on today, please say hello. I've got my comments up, and I hopefully should be able to see you guys on the screen. Let me know who you are and where you come from, and if you can hit the share button and share this out onto your pages, that would be awesome. Your profiles and into your bridal and hair and makeup groups. I would really appreciate that. Okay, so let's talk about pricing in general. So I am of the belief that nobody should ever dictate to you what you should charge for your bridal services, for your hair and makeup prices. It's not up to anyone else to dictate that. It is up to you, and it is up to your area, and it is up to the brides that you attract. And I think you need to kind of price your services in sort of three ways. And I teach this a lot. Hi, Rita. How are you going? Oh, Rita, you're in Queensland. Me too. Hey, good morning. Good morning. Thanks for joining me today. So I think personally, when it comes to hair and makeup services, you need to have three ways of pricing your services. Now, I teach this on one of my trainings, and I probably should have brought it up so I don't forget. But the first one is that you have got like what's called a cost base of pricing, right? So you kind of do a percent or money on top. So you take your expenses, and then you think to yourself, and then I need to add a little bit more on. Maybe you add on like an extra 50% or extra 25% right on top of that, so that you know that you are going to be able to make a profit, right? So you have your base price plus whatever profit it could be. So that's one way of pricing your services. The other way is pricing it, you kind of have a look around at what other people are charging, and you think, okay, I'm going to have a look, see what everyone else is charging, and I'm going to charge somewhere around that price, because clearly, that's what the market can tolerate. Again, not a bad way to price your services, but we'll kind of explore, why I think you should kind of combine all three. Now, the third way is that you do it value based, and you think about the service that you're providing. You think about what brides will tolerate, and a value that you put on your services. Now, in my opinion, you need to price yourselves using all those three methods, because number one, you've got to know what your cost is, right? You've got to know how, if I charge $80 a face, am I going to be making any money from that? Like, every time I go and do a wedding, every time I go and do a hair and makeup, am I going to make money if I charge my client $80, right? You've got to think about that. So you have to know what your costs are. The second way I said was that you do it when you look at what other people are charging. Now, again, I think personally, you do need to know what other people charge. You'd be foolish not to go into business and not know the market, right? You've got to understand the market. Now, should you then say, well, that person's charging $80, I should charge $80? Probably not. I would say you've got to do you should do a lot of research into what other people are charging and what they're charging for. Because you might just see it's like $80, but there might be other things that they're charging, right? It could be $150, but it could be other things that they're charging into that. So you definitely should look at your market, because there will be a time, or there's likely to be, like, there's going to be a cap, right? There's going to be a cap on perhaps what your market will tolerate for who you're attracting. Now, the third way I said was value-based, and value-based basically means is that you're kind of knowing your worth, and you're also knowing what your brides feel you're worth as well. And really, the only way that you can do that is if you've probably been in the industry for a while. You'll start to realize after a good 12 months of doing weddings, well, you know what, I've edged my prices up. And every time I've still booked the same amount of brides, so I could probably go up a bit more. That's when you're starting to realize the value. Yes, what the service I'm providing is worth the money that the bride is paying. But like I said, you got to know that if you're at that sort of $50 mark for makeup, and that's what these brides are happy to pay, you got to think to yourself, but if I take away my costs, I'm not making any money from that. So I think that you need to consider all of those three things. Certainly, yes, you should investigate your peers. You must do that, guys. You can't go into business and not investigate what your peers are doing. Like, that would be silly. But do you have to charge what they charge? No way, no way. And I'm going to show you how and why. All right, now I'm looking over here onto my screen. So what I'm going to do, give me a second one. I'm going to flick over onto my screen, and I'm going to just show you what I mean here. So the problem that you've got when you look at when you look at your peers. So let's say somebody in your area is charging $80. I know that's really small. Let me make this really big. Hold on. Come on. Just move my comments here. Text. Let's make this big. Okay. All right, we can see that. All right, so you have got you've got people around you, and you've got this person charging $80 for, actually, let's just make things easy. Let's just go 100, right? Let's say everyone's charging $100 for, face and makeup or an updo, right? Doesn't matter what it is that you do. And then you've got somebody else that's charging $95, right? And then you come along and you think to yourself, wow, gosh, everyone around me seems to be charging. Let's say there's a few people charging 100, a few people charging 95. And you're thinking, well, if I go then to 90, then very likely I'm going to get more brides because I'm cheaper than everyone else. But you know what happens when this happens, when you look at things from this perspective? What happens is, and actually, let me just put my face on as well so you can see me when I'm talking. Options, show picture in picture. I know it's going to be quite, there we go. All right, so what happens is when you do this, when you look at what other people are charging and you think, and this might not be you might be the one charging the $100, right? You could be the one charging the $100 and somebody's come along, they're charging 95, and then somebody else comes along, they charge 90. Do you know what's going to happen? The next person to come along is going to charge 85. And then do you know what that is? That is a race to the bottom. And if you cannot differentiate your $100 from that $85, what's going to happen? The bride's going to pick the cheapest every single time. Now, I think this is where you guys who worry about what other people charge get really frustrated, because you're like, well, they've got people charging, 85, 75, $60. I saw someone charging $60 the other day, and, no wonder I'm not getting any brides at $100. Let me make this very clear. If somebody is going to pay $85 or even 65 or 55, they were never going to pay $100. So really, it was insignificant, the people that charge more than that. Anyone who charged more than that, the bride went with the cheapest for a reason, because they can't afford it and they can't afford you. So you have to get this out of your mind, that this bride could have been your bride if that person didn't charge so cheap. It's not true. That bride was never going to be your bride. And you know what? You don't want her to be your bride, because even if she did, she'd be trying to get extras, right? She'd be haggling. She'd be trying to, well, $100 for me, but what are you going to charge for my bridesmaids, And then you say, well, no, it's $100 per person. And they go, well, you're doing a package. So, for 4 of us, can you do it for 90? So this is what you're going to get if you start to worry about the $85 or the $65 makeup artist. What you have to accept is, number one, they may be new to this industry. They may not have been doing this for a while. They don't know any better. They don't understand perhaps the value, because a lot of the times you'll find that these makeup artists and hairstylists, they're either fresh out of college, out of beauty school, and so they're just getting started. And so they're really just trying to get their portfolio work up. And we can't begrudge them that, right? We can't begrudge them getting their portfolio work and doing things at a discounted rate. That's fine. They'll learn after a while that they can't make money from that, right? But what we need to do is get out the mindset that they're taking away our brides, because they're not. Because like I said, the bride at $65, is not going to pay $100 and never was. So what you now need to do is concentrate on the $100+ bride. So if you're 100, 150, 200, whatever it is that you charge, your focus always has to be, what am I providing of value that makes me stand out from everyone else in my street that charges the same price, in my area, in my city, right? What am I charging? What am I offering to my bride within that? Now, when I've been working with clients before, we've been talking and I've been saying to them, rather than just sell a service, look at building yourself a package. So providing some really good value within your price. Now, that could mean that you need to put your prices up a little bit, right? Maybe if you're a makeup artist, you might want to include a lipstick. Now, the opportunities then are endless when it comes to perhaps providing a lipstick. You could potentially brand your own lipsticks, right? You could create a little line of bridal lip colors, and then you sell that. You've got a secondary income coming in there with revenue from a product as well as your service. You could decide, if you're a hairstylist, for example, maybe you could team up with accessories, right? Veil suppliers, or maybe flowers. If you love the boho bride, if your boho bride is your bride, team up with a florist, right? And then maybe your updos could include, headbands, floral headbands. If it was dried flowers, somebody that did dried flowered bands that people can keep. So you could team up and create collaborations and, provide this beautiful package for your brides. I think that as a hair and makeup artist, we think very one-dimensional. We think, this is my service, this is what I charge. And we know that there are so many people doing exactly the same thing as you, right? There's so many people charging the same price for the same service, and they've got great quality work. So you have to think to yourself, what is it that is going to make me stand out from everyone else who does just as good quality work as me? Now, okay, there may be people you think, well, they're charging $50 and they do crap work anyway. Well, again, more for that bride, right, to book that person. And what the bride's going to find is, I think, like one of the girls was saying in our group chat just before, she said, what you'll find is that they're the kind of makeup artists who let them down. They let down the brides because, they realize that they can't survive off that. And then they decide, they might get a wedding that comes in and it's on the same date as a bride that they charge 65, but this bride's willing to pay 85. And so they dump the previous bride because now they've got a better price. You see, it happens. This is the integrity that some people have that are not as good as you guys watching me, listening to me, part of the bridal business community. That's what happens, okay? And what you have to remember is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anyone else charges. What are you doing to set yourself apart? Don't worry about anyone else because nobody else is you. You are the unique person to cater to your brides. So you have to make sure that your level of service is second to none. So you want to create a way of making sure, and this comes from, I said this last week, everything that you do with regards to your wedding services, right? Your wedding packages, and you can fill out these packages even more. Maybe you could add in some makeup lessons. Maybe you could do a pamper night. Create a pamper night for your brides within your package. Now, yes, you can't do that for $100, but there are certain things that you could do. You could beef out a really cool package that's so unique that brides come along and go, "Wow, look at this! Look at this value I'm getting for my money here." So you want to think outside the box when it comes to just being a hairdresser, just being a stylist, just being a makeup artist. Think outside the box. If you're new to the industry, if you are trying to grow in the industry, if you've become quite stagnant, if you're not perhaps earning the potential that you could earn, go back to what I call guest experience. What's the experience that a guest gets when that a bride gets when they become, well, even before they become your bride? What do your socials look like? What do they look like? I mean, are you catering towards that specific bride? If you don't know who your bride characteristic, your bride profile, your bride type is, go to bridalbusinesschool.com/bride tribe and take my quiz. Okay, go take my quiz because that will tell you the type of bride that you attract. Then you want to really look at this bride and focus your attention on attracting this bride. For me, my bride has always been that very much natural bride, maybe a little bit of the classic bride, very traditional, but very kind of non-makeup in that no makeup look. So do you think I put glamour shots all over my Facebook page and all over my Instagram profile? No, because whilst I like to do a bit of heavy glam and a bit of fun, my brides don't want to see that. My brides want to see how I do pretty, elegant, right, curly, natural, just very gentle waves in the hair because they like things simplified. So when I start posting stuff from fancy dress or if I've done some kind of avant-garde photo shoot, if I start posting that all over my social media, a bride gets confused. They're looking at that going, okay, I'm not really sure what she does. This is all over the place. You have to focus your bridal work around your brides, your specific brides that you attract. If you attract the glamour bride, don't be showing things that are natural and pretty and cute. No, you want to go bling. You want to go sparkles. You want to go, probably smoky eyes. You might want to go red lip. You want to go pow, right? A glamour bride wants to come across your stuff and go, she is awesome. Check her out. This is what I want. I want all of that. I want to be the center of attention for my wedding too. You have to focus on that. So social media obviously is kind of like the first port where they'll come into contact with us, right? So that's, first of all, have you got your social media in alignment, right? So your social media is now Really good. Let's move on to kind of like the next step where the bride thinks to themselves, okay, am I going to book this person or not? And they think, well, you know what, my wedding's coming up. So within the next 12 months, I call these our bride A's. I call them the A-lister, because they're pretty much like, they're pretty primed and ready to book because their wedding's within 12 months. Most brides these days know that they need to book venues and flowers and all that, as far out in advance as possible. And we know as makeup artists and hairstylists, we need to make sure that we're communicating this to our brides. Again, part of your social media could be where you inform the bride, hey, glamour brides, right? Call them out. Hey, boho brides. Hey, natural brides, right? Call them out. Don't forget that if you're within a year of your wedding, you really must secure your hair and makeup artist. Tell them, keep them informed, share with them what they need to do. This is all about the guest experience that they're having with you. So let's say they're ready to get a quote from you. How easy is it for them to get a quote from you? Can they just jump on your website and get a quote? And then what happens? If they get a quote, do they get immediate communication? Have you got this kind of, if they give you a call, maybe they're just doing the random thing, which most people don't do these days, but there's still a few people that do, and they give you a call and they're like, I'm just going to give these people a quick call and see how much they charge. Right? So maybe she's giving you a call, but you're busy. You're with another client right now. You can't answer. So do you have a service where it automatically goes, hey, sorry, bride. In a text message, it says, hey, sorry, bride, I'm so sorry, but Dawn's unavailable right now because she's with another client. Would you like to leave some details? How can I help you? Right? Do you have that kind of service within your within your system that you're providing, your quotes? Would they get an automatic email if they put in the quote request form via computer? Do you have one? Do you have a booking form, a quote request form? Not really a booking form. I know it's hard to book people for weddings. Do you have a quote request form where you're literally asking your bride, name, email, phone number, how many bridesmaids have you got? Do you have a mother of the bride? Are they having hair? Are they just having makeup? Or are they having both? Do you have a facility to make it so simple that the bride, all she has to do is input her details and send it? Sweet. And then within 24 hours, maybe even 5 minutes, because there's a study showing that if you get back to somebody within 5 minutes, they're more likely to become customer with you. And it's something like 80% more likely to become a customer with you if you respond to somebody within 5 minutes of them making an inquiry with you. Now, again, this might not be in person. They might send a booking form in the middle of the night, and that's fine. And of course, they can't expect a response, a phone call from you at nighttime. However, you may have a system set up in the background, which is what I do, which is like what I suggest, where you've got, automatic emails springing off. Have you got a way for them to perhaps get on a call with you and you can walk through their quote and provide them with a personal service? I talked about having that personal service last week. Now, all of these things, you might think to yourself, gosh, well, that's a lot of stuff to be doing, Dawn, behind the scenes. And it is, right? But it's number one, most of it would be automated. Like, you could automate a lot of this stuff. You can automate emails. You can automate sort of that call to text. You could have in the text message, it might be a call that says, they give you a call, you don't answer. This text message might automatically be triggered by your booking systems, and it says, dear bride, I'm so sorry, Dawn's unavailable right now. How can I help you? And she comes back in a text message and says, I'm just inquiring about your pricing. And then, another little, pricing could be a word that it triggers something off that says, oh, I noticed this is Dawn's, bot, she's unavailable right now, but I noticed that you said you asked for pricing. Here is Dawn's packages, or here is a link to Dawn's packages. There are so many things that you can do to provide this guest experience. Now, this should continue. I know a lot of brides, I know a lot of hair and makeup artists, they will book a bride in and then, a year in advance, let's say, and then it gets to 6 months out from the wedding and they've been booked for 6 months and they haven't heard, or they haven't been talking to the bride at all. They have had not one piece of communication. And then 6 months before, perhaps when they're owed some money, they go back to the bride and say, hey, bride, I've got you booked in for your wedding in 6 months' time. Your next payment's due. That's not guest experience. That's not providing, value for money. If you want to charge the big money, if you want to charge, a couple of $100s for your bridal packages, it's not just your service that you are charging for, it's the guest experience. It's the experience they have from the point of contact with you. Now, this will be as well your website. What does that look like? You know, your like I said, your Instagram, your Facebook page. What do they look like? Does everything reflect your brand and your brand values and your business values? And you know, I know that if you're new, you perhaps don't have testimonials from your clients, but certainly as time goes on, and if you are new and you've done some hair and makeup for even for friends and family, get them to do some testimonials for you as to, you know, how they like their hair and makeup. It doesn't have to be bridal testimonials, but you should definitely get, you know, some feedback from people that you've done hair and makeup on. I can't see any of you out there that have disqualified in makeup and haven't done makeup on other people, so I'm sure that you could go back and just ask somebody to, you know, a friend or you know, your cousin or whatever, your auntie, could they just write a little note to say that they really liked your makeup on your Facebook page? The other thing would be as well is to have some way of connecting up your Google My Business. I'm going to talk about Google My Business possibly my next live stream. It might be next week because I've actually got a freebie that I can give you guys to help you set up your own Google My Business account. If you haven't got one of those, you should, because there's a new service with Google My Business now that allows people to message you. And of course, they can send a message from Google, and you know, you can manage that. It's a really good way to manage that. And I'll share that with you probably in the next week or so. But again, if you've got somebody that is, you know, Googling hairstylist, your area, and they've suddenly come across you on the Google search engine, right? They come across you on Google, and your details have come up. Well, what comes up? You know, how much information is there? Are you regularly keeping your Google status up to date, right, with beautiful images? Have you connected and have you been asking previous brides to rate and review you on Google? And every time they do, have you been responding to those people? This is all guest experience, and this is all how you will then be able to keep those prices at a really, really good rate, because as time goes on and you see more and more brides, you're going to get more and more brides saying, just everything with Dawn was absolutely fantastic. I cannot fault her. The whole thing from start to finish, she constantly kept in contact with me. She made the booking process really easy. She talked to me about my wedding, was genuinely interested. And then when we had the trial, she remembered that, you know, my dog was part of the procession. And she even remembered the name of it. And then she turned up on wedding day with some treats, along with some beautiful, some beautiful, I don't know, kits for my bridal party. And I had no idea. It was just such a surprise. She was such a delight to deal with. That's the kind of reviews that you want as a hair and makeup artist. And then all of those things go towards creating that amazing package that I'm talking about. So stop thinking about your hair and makeup as a service and start thinking about it as more of a package, right, of value. And then think, okay, I know what my costs are. I know that every wedding, you know, it's going to cost me X amount in makeup, it's going to cost me X amount in time, it's going to cost me X amount in fuel. You have to know those basic stats, everyone. You have to know them, because otherwise how will you know if you're making a profit or not? You also want to think about the other things that you do throughout the year. Maybe you spend some money on education and training. That's got to be included in there somewhere. If you have a home salon, or even if you're working, if you've got your own external salon, you've got to think about the overheads for that. Maybe you're renting a chair somewhere. Maybe you want to include that kind of maybe they come to you to have their trials where they're renting. So you have to have those prices in mind, have to have those costs. You must have those costs. Should you know what other people are charging around you? Yeah, absolutely. If only to know that they don't provide anything like what you provide. So they're of no significance anyway, but it's good to know. And when the bride comes back to you and wonders why you're so expensive, then you can easily go back and say, well, because I don't just do a service. I have an amazing package for my brides. You know, my packages include this, and this. that $80 bride down there, that $80 hairdresser down the road, she doesn't provide any of those things. She just comes and does your hair, and that's it. Now, again, if they then choose to go with that $80 artist, hairdresser, then they were never going to book you in the first place. They obviously, their perceived value for their wedding hair and makeup is not where you are, and it's not where your brides will be. And believe me, there are plenty of brides out there that will look at your value, look at all the things that you do, all the convenience that you provide them, all the communication, how you have, really included them in your services, in your booking, right? How you've actually included them, how you've gone back to them and given them a call. And again, no other hair and makeup artist, everyone I teach, I tell them, pick up the phone and talk to your bride. Go on a Zoom session with them, whatever, but pick up the phone, talk to that bride, talk through your packages, talk through their wedding, right? Ask them questions about them. The phone call that you make to a bride should never be about you and pitching yourself and how long you've been in business. If they're on a call with you, they're pretty much sold, right? They're pretty much sold. If they're taking the time out of their day to go, I'm going to have a chat with this makeup artist and see what she has to say, and then all you do is talk about, so tell me about your wedding. Okay, so, have you been to any weddings lately? What did you love? What did you hate? What would you love at your wedding? What would you hate at your wedding when it comes to your hair and makeup? Ask those questions. And then you can kind of at the end conclude, well, great. Well, I provide these services. This is what's included. This is what I like to do with my brides. This is how often you're going to hear from me. I'll give you a call then. We can work a few things out. I'm going to create a timeline for you so that you know when everything's due. What I like to do today is give you the opportunity to sign a contract with me. I can send you over the payment. Now, do you have a facility to do that? Maybe you can bring it up on your phone. This is what I'm working on with my application, my program right now. I'm working on it being able to do all of these things I'm talking about: booking forms, calendar appointments, text messaging from voice to text messaging. I'm looking at it being able to load up to get payment for, bride can literally, while you're on the phone, you can send them the link to make a payment, to make that payment for a deposit, and then you've secured them straight away. Do you have those kind of facilities? And then you can walk through everything with your brides. I always say to give brides a deadline when it comes to their contract. And I say, well, you know what? I like to pencil in their date. And I say to them, okay, so at the moment, I've got you booked in for the 5th of July, 2023. Now, I can't hold this date without a deposit. To secure it, you must have a deposit. But what I will do is allow you, a couple of days to, transfer the money or whatever, to sign the contract and return it to me. But just know that within 48 hours, I have to release that date to my other brides. But I'm happy to give you a little bit of time to, because you've got to understand as well that some brides can't pay you instantly. They have to perhaps request the money from in-laws or their own parents, if they're paying for the wedding. Maybe they have to transfer it from one account to another, etc., etc. So, there's going to be times where they can't pay your deposits on the spot. But if you've got the facility to do it, and you're on the phone with her and she's keen and she's like, yep, let's go, I'm ready to go, and you can send it to her and she can pay it on the spot, why not do that? So again, it's all about guest experience. It's all about value. It's all about knowing and understanding your costs, but also knowing how you differentiate yourself from everyone else. Pricing is unique to you. Never let anyone tell you what you should and shouldn't charge. That is completely up to you. I get so angry in the forums when people are saying, oh, she should be charging at least $100 and she's only charging $60. What's it to you? It doesn't matter. You do you. You're the only one around that needs to worry about what you do and what your pricing is. All right, guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for staying on with me. I hope it's been helpful. Let me know in the comments. Has this been helpful today? Is this helping you guys understand a little bit more about how you can stand out, how you can be a bit more unique, and how you can, really sort of transform your business as well as the experience of your brides. I just saw some thumbs up. Thank you, guys. The sun is kind of coming in. I'm starting to get a bit flustered here. It's really warm. It's a bit warm here in Queensland today. What do you think, Rita? It's a bit warm today. All right, guys. Well, look, I will be back again definitely next week. I might jump on again tomorrow. There's a few extra things I want to cover with you. You're so welcome, Rita. You're so welcome. There's a few extra things I want to cover with you guys, but don't worry, I will definitely be back. If I'm not back tomorrow, I will definitely be back on Wednesday of next week, and I'll schedule it in here in the business page and into our groups. Reach out to me if you've got any questions, and yeah, I shall let you guys go. Have a great rest of the morning, everyone. Bye for now. Or rest of the evening, I should say, if you're overseas. Bye, guys. See ya.